Welcome back, folks, to our weekly little pink eye show. We talk about movies here. I love movies. Try to go see them every other day, at least in the theaters, and I try to watch something every single day. In this, we're gonna be talking about some movies that I watched throughout the week that I thought were interesting, that I have something to talk about, something to say, and I don't want to just spew bullshit just for the sake of making videos. The first one that I watched this week was Outrun. Outrun stars Saoirse Ronan. Saoirse, I believe I'm saying it right. Amazing actor, beautiful performer. They managed to just take everything about the characters they portray and just embody them completely and absolutely take over these roles, and are just fascinating to just witness. I really enjoyed Outrun. It made me fucking cry. Outrun is a story about an alcoholic who's trying to recover, and they go back to their town to try to recover a bit further and try to reconnect. And throughout the movie, we see glimpses of her history, of her previous relationship, and her upbringing, where her dad suffered with, I believe, was bipolarism, uh, bipolar disorder. We see the effect that has on her as a child, and how, without addressing these issues, we are continuing the cycle of trauma. We see her suffer through alcoholism. We see the really nasty parts of how it changes you, of how it hurts people, how it just ruins your life. And it's incredibly touching. It is incredibly respectful with the issue at hand. And I believe the movie is based off a memoir of a real person, which go just adds another layer of just an incredible story. Alcoholism, these issues of addiction are not simple to tackle, especially on the screen, because you tend to fall into this trap of over dramatizing it or glorifying it a little bit when it comes to these issues. We see characters like comic book characters like Logan and Wolverine and shit, and Iron Man as well, who are alcoholics who suffer through this alcoholism, and we see it be played off as jokes or not taken as seriously it should. So it's very easy to fall into this line of trying to portray addiction and these issues, and then not doing it properly, not taking care of this depiction. And I believe Outrun is just a beautiful representation of how to do it correctly, because it doesn't shy away from the problem at hand. It doesn't try to glorify it. It doesn't try to make this be like a, oh, just stop drinking, silly. And it's incredibly respectful. And I'm really interested in reading this memoir now, because it's just a beautiful fucking story. I'm so lucky to have seen, because it's such a profound and impactful film, and Saoirse is just phenomenal. Like I said, it's really great, and I think this is gonna be a bit of a short one, because I don't know. I watch movies. I haven't had much time to think about it, because I've been just kind of running around trying to get things in order for one of our screenings coming up. But moving on to the next one, I watched. Oh fuck! I don't know why I keep blinking, but I watched Look Back. It's a beautiful animated film from the same creator of Chainsaw Man. So if you're aware of anime and Chainsaw Man, this is from that same creator, but it's very much not in the realm of that. It's very drastic, and it's really impressive to see this tonal dynamic, this dynamic tone shift between the two creations. But to focus on Look Back, I'll be honest, when it, I did not sleep at all the previous night before I went to go watch it, but I did really appreciate and find such beauty in this film, especially for something that I wasn't really expecting. It follows these two girls who become childhood friends because they both are into anime. They write and draw manga together, and we see them grow up into adults, and this journey they both take into becoming their own independent selves. And It's also a pretty beautiful tribute to, in general, creatives, the people who create these stories, who write, who draw, who make these things a reality for us to enjoy. It is a pretty beautiful love letter to creators, to showcase the hard work, the commitment, the time dedicated to their craft, and just as an appreciation. And that was a really beautiful part that I really appreciated. But the film covers a little bit of that, and then also this journey of these two women who are growing up together, who eventually divulge in their paths into pursuing the same thing but in their own individual ways, in the ways that really mean a lot to them, to try to explore and improve on their own. And throughout the movie, spoilers of course, one of the women do one of the women are killed. And honestly, it came out of nowhere. It was really fucked up. I'll be real. One moment we're watching these two women just draw manga, and then the next one of them is murdered by a fucking axe murderer or something. But we do see this grief evolve and transform, and it's a really short film, so a lot happens kind of quickly, but the film manages to maintain its pace to allow us to stay within the moment. And I'm so sorry, there's so many dogs just barking, but the film manages to stay on track to give us the pacing it needs in order for us to feel these emotions and to really be in these moments. And it does so brilliantly. It's like an hour long, I believe, uh, but it is really, really well crafted in its pacing and in its direction. And I really appreciate this perspective. But we see how grief takes a hold of one of our leads, and how it just impacts you. Grief is such a difficult thing to process. Some people have their own coping mechanisms and others different. It's never going to be one glove fits all, of course, but it shows us this person and how they eventually delve into their own work to continue to create, continue to tell this story, or their story, in honor of their loved one. And it is ultimately a beautiful testament to creators, to people who have lost the ones they love, who continue to create art, who continue to commit themselves to their craft, to whatever it may be. And how important it is for us to have something creative to do. Because if you don't have that outlet, if you don't have something that you could just continuously work on, to craft, to improve, it becomes a lot more difficult to try to move past some of these moments in life. It becomes really, really difficult, because when you don't have these outlets, these creative things, it kind of just boils up inside of you. And of course, these creative outlets can become a crutch in a way, not allow you to address the grief, address the issues that you're struggling with. So of course you have to be conscious. You have to be actively working on it. And I think Look Back is a really beautiful depiction of this creative endeavor of grief, and how it impacts you, and how continuing to create art really helps in just kind of guiding you into taking each day at a time and continuing yourself towards that craft. And it's a beautiful love letter to creatives. And this is actually going to be a pretty short one, because I don't really have much to say. I love these films, but I don't really have the energy to really go in depth about it. I do want to move on to Terrifier. So, to start things off, I'm not a big fan of slasher. I'm not a big fan of gore. To each their own. I decided to go watch Terrifier because Art the Clown has become a pretty significant iconography. It's really impressive on how much they've committed their time to this figure and how it stands with these other horror icons. For me, Terrifier 3 isn't really what I look for when it comes to horror. It's not particular for me, and that's fine. I'm not asking for it to be this like nuanced depiction of horror and whatever, whatever, whatever. But there are sometimes moments where it becomes kind of ridiculous, where it's like, what do you believe in? And of course, this is not that type of movie. It's supposed to be dumb fun, turn off your brain, and just enjoy the show, right? And there are moments where it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. There are these moments towards the end where Art just kind of keeps slapping one of the main characters around every time they just walk past him, and that I thought that was really funny. And of course, Art is the star of these films. I like the direction they're going in. As someone who's not really invested in the lore or anything like that, I have no clue. But it feels to me like they're going into that like Ash versus Evil Dead sort of direction with their main character Sienna, with how the film ends and how it leaves us. And I really like that. I really like, whenever our protagonists start fighting back, whenever there is a like, not even, but there is a battle, there is a fight there, and I want to see more of that because it kind of dumbs you down a little bit whenever it just endless killing after killing after killing, and you can only get so creative, right? It's the same issues that the Saw movies fall a little bit into just becoming this gore fest of, oh, let's, these super complicated traps that just like end up just snapping your neck open. It can become a little bit too convoluted when it comes to slasher and horror, and this type of horror for sure. There is a balance to strike between, doing too much, which this movie almost falls into. I will say that there are moments where it lingers on this gore and it's very uncomfortable, and of course that is the purpose, and I don't fault it for that. And it does do really creative, really fun ways for this type of gore horror. And while it isn't for me, I will appreciate where it is and how it, there is this variety of horror, and that doesn't necessarily have to be, scary, threatening, psychological horror. And I do appreciate the where Terrifier stands in the horror iconography world. Whenever you think about these icons of Freddy, of Jason, Chucky, and all these are like comedy and also horror and stuff. And I really appreciate the direction that Terrifier's going. I like the Evil Dead movies. I like that sort of deal with like the Deadites cursing at you, of being just assholes, of like saying "fuck you, bitch," and it's funny. And I like the direction that Terrifier is going in, and I really hope it really goes hella even further deep. And I'll have to probably watch Terrifier 1 and 2 whenever I'm not eating, because I'll be honest, I don't know how people do that. I don't know how people eat through these movies. The shit they put you in, like, holy fuck. I almost went to Alamo to go watch Terrifier 3, and thank fucking God I did it. Because I don't know how you can be there eating your chicken wings and then seeing someone's balls get sawed in half by a chainsaw and the chainsaw go up their ass. I don't know how you can do it. And of course, it's fake. Oh, it's not real. Surprise. But there is a point where it's like, oh my God, holy fuck. But I really appreciated Terrifier. I had fun in most of its moments, and I like what they're doing. It is important to support these types of films for sure, because it is independent, I believe. It's not going through traditional distribution means, I believe. So, the success of these movies are really amazing. It's a phenomenal success that deserves it so far. But I appreciate Terrifier 3. I love all these movies. Go and watch them at your leisure. Come up with your own conclusions. I know there's some people who are like, Terrifier 3 it's not it's not cinema, it's popcorn. And there's people who are complaining like, oh, not everything has to be blah 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 blah. But then those are the same people that are complaining about or making fun of Joker and Megalopolis. And there's a lot of hypocritical shit, you know? I hate the hypocrisy. It's annoying. Really, really just is. But go watch these movies, come up with your own conclusions. Let me know what you think of them if you did watch them. And like and subscribe and stuff. I am exhausted and bye.